This is our last video on learning, and it's of course observational learning and the ethics behind research that has been conducted with regards to learning, be research on animals or on humans. So we're going to discuss famous experiments that have been conducted over the years that were related to learning and how mammals learn, animals learn. In this case, we need to start with this generic comment. We are, at the end of the day, monkeys. If that's the case, and we are curious. So we want to see what the others are doing in a way we learn this way, because we want to do what the majority is doing. It is part of our social self. In the next part, we are going to connect to this video, which is the original video with Bandura talking about his research. Bandura has done a lot of research, but this is the one that I consider out. And he knew, now he's old, and he knew that it was a very important. I was talking about this at that time. I know we cannot watch the video nicely in the the Prezi, and especially when I'm projecting the Prezi, talking over the Prezi, and it is videotaped. So I would like you to go and watch it and listen it. This is the link. If you go to the Prezi, you will listen probably better than you are talking. Please pay attention to what he said. He said that the secretary was modeling and the children were innovating. They were taking it further. They were taking the bad behavior further. They were topping it up. Although in the experiment the idea was they had to be rewarded with lollies or praise if they were doing the bad thing. They liked it. They did it because they liked it. Watch the video and you will understand it. I will start quickly showing the link because I want to take it to this point. Most of the children who watch aggressive model attack the Bobo doll. This is the Bobo doll. And I want you to understand that this has nothing to do with gender, both boys and girls. The point is that they imitated these actions spontaneously. Remember when the girl took the ball and started hitting with the ball? When the boy took the gun and started using the gun, the boy moved more to the gun, the girl did not. So what I want you to remember is one of the three first things we started in this series of prayers is we learn many things through observation and imitation of others.
Segment you're about to see is an early experiment on learning of aggressive styles of behavior through modeling. The children watched the adults perform novel aggressive acts on the doll. The physical aggression was accompanied by novel hostile remarks. We later measured how much of this model aggression children had learned just by watching. Learning of observation uses simulated targets rather than live ones. For example, to test well volunteers are following strategies, just the simulated targets rather than require them to go with bombs San Francisco or New York.
This is the point. He will continue the video and I will stop the video. Uh, the study was that this has nothing to do with only children. It goes further. If you could listen to what Bandura said now and pay attention to this in the Prezi, he said that sometimes we train people to do stuff, unethical stuff, because we just teach them to play on the simulation. So if I'm teaching a bombardier or in an aeroplane to pretend that he's flying over Nagasaki to throw the bomb, he's doing that because he actually doesn't know what will be the impact of throwing the bomb over all these people and what will be the effect of this bomb to their children and children of children. And when we simulate these kind of situations, we don't know that we don't take under consideration the ethical. And the peculiar thing is that all these behaviors, they were novel, they were new, novices for the children, and still the children imitate them eagerly. When the ethical consideration comes later, that will be another issue. The point is that this is okay in our society. And we're going to discuss it later. And I want you please to think of this and have it as an example for your exams or other exams in your life, how this observational learning can be applied into gaming today. How okay it is to have my child watching in the game a monster killing or a soldier killing other people or other soldiers. This is actually creating a culture of it's okay to kill. It is observational learning. That's why we have all this increase in child violence. We will watch it later, this study that says after watching violent videos, people become violent. And this is the same study with the impact of violent games in the mind of the children. Game companies have chosen psychologists who are making these games unethically, trying to make these games addictive to the children and then make them not just play the game, make them feel it is okay to be violent. This is the big problem of observational or gaming psychology. Okay, let's go to the next point. Observational learning is this one here. I want you to pay attention to this slide. I'm going to enlarge it. This is a cartoon, but actually it is how children learn. You in time out, young Wadey. Now don't you move. So mommy is putting the child onto a timeout. The child is doing the same to the doll. And then the child is pretending that he is yakking, talking on the phone all the time, as mom does every day. And then mommy at night on the couch says, I'm so tired, these kids are driving me crazy. And the child listens that mommy says that children are driving crazy, and children are really imitating this. They feel rejected. And now the child is finally sleeping and the mommy is thinking. And this is the funny stuff, but I can see it as tragic. So observational learning is what this child has just done. Learned new behaviors or information by watching and imitating others. And the person we imitate the most is this, our mom, or this, our dad, or our sister or brother. So this is because we use our human capacity to model, learn by watching others. Now, what is the modeling process that's very important for us? In order to be able to model nicely, we have to pay attention to the model when it behaves. So if you want to learn your maths, you have to pay attention to your teacher solving the maths problem. And then you need to retain this information and be able to recall it and retrieve it anytime. This is the stage of retention. But then, when you go home and you remember it, you have to be able to reproduce all the stages of solving the problem. So you have to be physically or mentally capable to reproduce the model's behavior. And you have to reinforce it. You have to be able, anytime, to do it again and be motivated to do it again. That's reinforcement. And what's your reinforcement in solving a mathematical problem? You feel good because you can do it, and you feel that you can excel in the exams. So this is the case. And this is math solving problem is a good case, because there can be bad cases or other cases, and we're going to watch videos on this. So I want you to pay attention to this observational learning again schedule, and discuss how the acquisition and later maintenance of this has to do with the degree of commitment the others demonstrate in their behavior. So I want you to remember that we pay attention, and the extent to which we pay attention when somebody is doing something, it makes us to be compliant completely with what the behavior needs us to do. Retention is our ability to represent others' behavior in our memory. That's very important, because sometimes our memory is not helping us, and we slightly change the model behavior, and therefore we are more defined. That's why we choose and innovate and make novices improvised behaviors on this learned experience, make this experience ours, and then we have to produce the process. We have to show an ability to actually perform, and we try to make them as good as they can, but we put ourselves in there as well. And you need to understand that this is not going to stay unless you have a motivation, until at least something really will make you to do it again. Be money, be social reward, be approval from the others. Something has to make you do that. So this is a graph, and the graph shows this average before violent TV program and after violent TV program, the average acts of crime per minute. Okay, this is 86, and now more data created on this. Increase of aggression after television, violent television, is amazing. So I want you to understand that this is the most important part, the acquisition and performance. Acquisition means that we need to make this behavior ours, to have a moment to acquire it. So when acquire a skill, they have to practice the skill, and then we improve the performance. Okay, so improvement means that we're not just kicking the doll, we take the gun and kick the doll. Let's go now and discuss the last part of this, the research ethics, and it's very important because one of the previous year's exams had research ethics, and they were asking in extended questions to discuss Bandura's Bobojol experiment. Um, let's go. Let's start it. So, um, when we discuss ethical and psychological interventions, we're talking about the issue of behavior modification. And the ethics in behavior modification is very important because actually um, it's a big issue. How can I justify myself if I can reward or not reward a person just to modify their behavior? It's like playing God sometimes. Who is choosing what behavior is correct and what behavior is wrong? So that is a problem in behavior modification, and we really need to modify behaviors that they are bad and they can harm the individual. Nevertheless, there are times we need to put a limit on how we know that our behavior is correct and how we let the person to be free to choose between behaviors. So I need again to remind you that systematic desensitization, it is a part of physiological and psychological intervention. It's a behavior therapy, and I want you to remember to discuss it in the class on a day before the test, before Friday, that systematic desensitization falls into the classical condition principles. Okay, so systematic desensitization means that we have to make a connection, immediate connection, to get rid of the anxiety or fear. Okay, and we make this connection. It's not fear anymore, it's relaxation I'm substituting the fear with. So we get the patient to associate the feeling of being relaxed with the stimulus that causing the fear. So I remind you my example of my fear of heights, and when I've been to the edge in the Sydney Tower, we've gone up, and when the elevator stopped and we went across out, the music that was playing, the sound was relaxed music, and then I listened to the big bang, and the lights went on, and the black walls disappeared, and I saw me floating on the glass floor, like 40 meters above the ground, with the relaxing music. I felt relaxed. Immediately I passed my fear. So I want you to understand that they substitute the relaxed feeling with the fear of the heights. So over a series of steps from just least fearful to most fearful, the people start imagining themselves moving to the steps to a relaxed manner. It's the same technique where people trying to control their pain, and they try to think that their pain is not a dark gray color, but it is like a lighter gray, and then transforms to a pink, and then to white color, and then slowly you feel you're not paining. It's like a substitution of the feeling, which is really works with the mind. The next one we're going to discuss, it is that in systematic desensitization, we have to identify the hierarchy of our fears. So what's the most fear situation to the at least feared? So I'm been scared to being bitten by a bee, and of course more scared to touch a bee, but it's not so scared to be touching a dead bee. Okay, and it's not so scared to see a bee in the jar, or see the bee flying around in the distance. So this is the steps we are going to follow. Okay, So if we see the bee flying away, far away in the distance, we're not scared. If I see the bee in the jar, I can bring it closer. That's the system, slowly. Then if I see that this is a dead bee and I have to touch it, it's better. And then touching the bee, uh, seeing myself touching the bee, it would be different. Yeah. But we try to persuade ourselves that, okay, touching a dead bee at the end of the day, it's a big step. So learn relaxation strategies at the same time helps. So when you really close your eyes and touch the bee and take a deep breath and touch the bee, this is a technique. So what we have to do is to begin pairing, okay, either real or your imagination, and use the least fear situation with the relaxation technique and move through the hierarchy with slow steps when the person wants to do that. And behavior modification, we have to use positive reinforcement and withdraw of reinforcement in order to eliminate the inappropriate behavior. So there are examples here in the primary school classrooms, in sport fields, in the family homes. So we identify this is what we have to do. We have to say this is the bad behavior. Okay, this is where I'm not accepting anymore, and you have to be punished. And then you choose a realistic goal to work towards in the beginning. So you say, I can accept everything but screaming to me. And then set up a reinforcement with rules every time someone is doing the right thing. So if you start screaming and you realize you're doing something wrong and you take your voice down, that's a reward because you are in the right. I'm setting a reinforcement. Okay. I want you to remember the chocolate with the Big Bang Theory people when training Penny included changing the volume of her voice. And you can write a contract with the child and remind the contractor always, or starting the program and rewarding small steps. All this can be parameters of behavior modification. And we say, remember, when we change a modifying behavior, we have to give the reward every time, continuous reward, and then I can reduce the rewards and get into the variable ratio or variable interval reinforcement. The same here with the trolleys and other examples, but really you can find your own example of behavior modification as part of unconditional. We have said many examples until now. What I want you to remember is the last thing, is the ethical things associated with this. And in the books, I want you to go and watch these videos, but we have already watched them. And this is the original publication of Watson's video. So we know by now, I'm not going to spend any more time on this. The problem he has done is that he has instilled fear to a child without debriefing, without saving Albert from his phobias. We don't know if it's Watson's issue or his mother's, because mother took little Albert away and he wasn't offered the chance to be desensitized, to forget his fears. He has desensitized from the fears. But the issue is that really it was one of the most unethical experiments of the time, especially because little Albert was a child. In recent videos they have searched for little Albert, and apparently little Albert died very young. He died in the age of 6. He didn't have, poor child, the chance to get away from his fears. And we don't know how this has contributed to his death. So ethical issues, informed consent, volunteered participations, we have to check if it is beneficial magnificence. So how good is the research doing? Integrity of the person's confidentiality, right to withdraw, debriefing after, rights of participants, not to be psychologically harmed, and that was the major. Okay, of course, animal rights. We have discussed animal rights. Remember, discussed said so many times that animals were hungry. All these issues, and of course, the last but not least is this Bandura's experiment, unethical, to subject children to aggression and violence. Parents were not informed. Children actually they didn't have the right to withdraw. They didn't have informed consent. Children were separated from parents and observed, and they didn't have any mental ability to judge if this is right or wrong. And there was no debriefing of children, or the child was given law leave because he was given done a good thing. So really, it was an issue of teaching actually to a child aggressive behavior, and there was no chance for the child to be untaught of this aggressive behavior. So in the future, in the area of learning, really we have to ensure this, that it will be taken under consideration. Animals not be left alone, company of other animals. They have to have appropriate diet, not to undue distress or harm to the animals. Use a few animals as possible in the experiment. If animals' life must be terminated, it has to be humane. Use euthanasia. Actually, sometimes in order to help humans, we have to do experiment on animals, but it is an issue. It is an issue. And we should not change their natural or habitual behavior, but this is not the case, unfortunately. And let's see some investigation designs. I want you to remember that when out of these designs that have been conducted, if I want to make an experiment design, I have to use Skinner boxes to study behavior of rats, pigeons, and still it's happening in the universities, or use mazes like labyrinths to study the learning of the animals, which is open conditioning. I'm teaching them, it's like a box, like the Thorndike's box, if they are going to come out find the food and how long it will take them, and use Pavlovian dog's harness to study classical conditioning. It's still happening. Remember the videos we saw, it is happening still. All the Bandura's Bobodol experiment, it is experimental, because really they are setting up an experiment, cannot be with two groups, but all these experiments were set up with two groups. I want to draw your attention to the video I saw you with Skinner talking and presenting the hungry and the not hungry rat. So they were actually experimental designs. So there was a study and control group. And quantitative observational, we can observe the children through two-way mirrors to see how they interact with other children, or what will be the effect of reward or punishment. I will show you later for the future exams the marshmallow experiment, which is much more ethical, and they're watching children doing the right thing. Has nothing to do with the Bandura's experiment, the Bobodol experiment. Very gentle, and we can actually observe our trial and error learning, like the puzzle box, how the animals are doing that. I want you to remember that trial and error is not in our curriculum, so probably this is not going to be used. And of course, qualitative data will be creating focus group discussions and using experts to respond to our questionnaires. And measurements, we can use data that can include rating scales, have children saying, okay, I feel from this to that, from 1 to 10 I feel 6, Or we can have objective quantitative when we can verify numbers, like how many numbers the pigeons are knocking, or how often, and how many intervals I'm giving the reward. Or we can have the qualitative. I don't think I need to repeat that anymore. Okay, we can have themes, how long they will take to get this response, how long it will turn, how they learn best. That would be uh, open-ended questions. Okay, I hope you will have uh, the best test ever, and I hope this video will help you to do that. See you.